Hey, what's up? It's Mykill, and this is my 5th episode of Kerbal Space Program. And right now, I'm going to be crashing this thing into the surface. So check this out real quick, and then I'll explain the rest of the video. Just point it right at the surface and burn. Well, time warp a little bit closer first. And just hit it as quick as we can to make sure there is nothing left. I want no Kessler syndrome. And now that that's fully scanned, I'm going to send my mining unit up into space. And I did have to use MechJeb for the ascent because it decided that it wanted to do more cartwheels. So, yeah, I had to launch it with the automated. It doesn't have a pilot anyway, so it kind of does make sense. I'm going to start the gravity turn. Right about now. Ish. Yeah, I forgot to put the action group triggers on there, so I did waste a little bit of fuel. But it was alright, I had enough left over in the upper stages. Just try to get this up to about 100 and then circularize it. But while it's doing that, you can still, while MechJeb is running, you can still control it. I tried to burn the circularization, but didn't work too much. As you can see, the periapsis is still about 40 kilometers. And you just spin around and fling that off so it doesn't come back and hit us. And then I'm going to activate this engine and use a little bit of this fuel, which is okay because there's a little bit more fuel in the next stage that I'm going to be launching, so I can take some from that for the landing. Even though I don't really need it because this thing is freaking huge and has way too much fuel. But yeah, here we go with the actual crew transport vehicle, which has a science pod up on top. The materials bay and the goo canisters. I thought about doing this asparagus stage, but whatever. I do have to note, though, this is not my first trip to Minmus. Actually, I made a one-man mission with Jebediah, or Bill, one of the two. I can't remember. But that did not turn out so well. I had made it there and back, but the video just kind of did not work out. Had some problems with FRAPS. This one I am flying manually, so I'm going to try and burn this to circularization as quick or as much as I can. It doesn't go all the way, but there we go. It's good enough. And then I'm going to set up a maneuver node so that I will hit my rendezvous on the first orbit, as opposed to catching up to it and doing all that. I just make a highly elliptical orbit and come around and smack it right up the ass. That was weird. I'm going to drop this stage, and that was weird. Nothing broken. Time warp up. And I'm going to have to make a few corrections in a minute. Or, no, actually, I just drop in on it. And I do overshoot, so I have to come back on it a little bit. It's not too much because I have plenty of fuel. This huge nuclear engine. And here I notice my problem, which is that I did not place any RCS on the crew module, so I have to use this as an unmanned vehicle and dock with it. Impractical, but it had to be done. I'll just bring it in nice and close. And it was also unbalanced with the RCS thrusters, so it took me a while I had to rock it back and forth and do all this and that. It did not want to stay straight. To bring it in about 10 meters out. And we get a little bit of contact, but I go too far. Bring it back in. Bump it. Nothing. And I should have had the resources tab open because once I click onto this, if it pops up, you'll see, but I have literally 0.01 monopropellant left when this is over. So there we are, docked, and we're going to set up a maneuver node over here. And then halfway through pulling this out, I realize, oh, didn't set it as a target, so let's do that. And get these as close as possible, and we get an encounter right there. Try to get it as close as possible. And then we'll just make some corrections when we get out there, because we have plenty of fuel in the nuclear engine stage. We'll set that up. And time warp over there. Yeah, the ship does take an extraordinarily long amount of time to turn, so bear with me for a minute. And this is at 4 times time acceleration with the video too. It's crazy. Took me 2.5 to 3 minutes in order just to flip it around. But yeah, time warp over to the maneuver node. It's a pretty long burn, but yeah. Very, very long burn. Even in 4 times time acceleration with the video editing, this takes a very long time. Almost there, you can do it. Alright. Oh, almost got an encounter with the moon. And bring this in here and kind of fiddle with it a little. Oh, no, actually just make it straight out there. I know I have an encounter, I just don't see it. There we go. And now we're going to start making our correction burn. Bring that periapsis down to about like 30-ish, somewhere in there. Just burn straight towards it. Bring it in, yeah, right around 50. That should be good. Set up a maneuver node to circularize it. Just mess with it a little bit, trying to get it as close as possible. And then time warp in. Oop. Time warp past it, and then come back a little bit. Sorry about that. I forgot to put those out, so send the solar panels so we have some power while we're detached. I had some on the other stage, so it should have been fine for a little while. But yeah, now we're in orbit, so we're gonna do a little bit of science and transfer. I think Jeb, yeah, Jeb's gonna make this trip because he's the only person I really trust with it. And detach and head towards the surface. Just burn a little bit to get away. And once I'm far enough, I bring this down and set up a maneuver node to circularize it so that it's extremely close to the surface, so I can just stop my lateral velocity and go down wherever I see fit. And bring that down. And now I'm going to search for my Kethane spots. And what happens is I notice that it's on the other side of the planet. Or moon, sorry. And I decide to say one more orbit, and then I'll set up a maneuver. Not over there, over here. And I'll set up a maneuver there so that I can just point it that way, time warp over, which takes a really long time because I'm close to the surface. So I just mess around with RasterProp. Get that set up for landing. Make my way around to the other side, over to where I gotta make the burn. Really slow time warp, even with video acceleration. And start the burn. And then, once I got that set up, I can switch over back to the regular view mode and scout out a landing site. Put the gear down in a second. Right when I drop out of time warp. And slow down. Not sure where the audio went, but okay. Overshoot the landing site a little bit. I kind of want to put it down in, I want to call it a lake bed, but I know it's not. So I'll just call it that for right now. It's the I think it's like the Greater Plains or something like that. But here is where we start to hit a little bit of a snag, and the video editing is gonna kind of cut out of this one. And here's the next one. What actually happened was, I don't know why, but some mod was interfering with the programs, and I got less than a frame per second. So I had to delete a few mods and come back and make the landing. I put them back, but yeah. Then we just bring it in nice and slow. Slow it down, get under 10 meters per second. Just keep it around there. Yes. Once I switch into there and then switch back out, it kind of stops it from doing the frame drop on me. So bring it down to the ground. It's in video acceleration, that's why it looks like a little bit too fast. But yeah, just bring it down, down, down. 1 meter per second, 0.5. And we're on the surface. Jeb's going to go out and plant a flag to say this is where the Kethane base is going to be. The Minmus Kethane mine. And he's going to jump to test the gravity and say, screw it, I'm not touching the ground again. Let's get back inside and start mining. This is the test mining facility. And I put a bunch of the containers on the outside, which have a bunch of stuff in them. And what happens is I'm going to mine, then I'm going to time warp. And then I'm going to cut to this part, which is after all the mining is done. And he is going around collecting science. That jump kind of confused me. Anyways, back inside and ready for takeoff. Once everything's ready, just kind of screw around with it, trying to see if I can make it a little bit more flat. But no, I say screw it. I'll wait until I get into orbit, and I'll just do it up there. So bring that up to about 30, and then do that. Go up. Watch that thing going away. Circularize. And then set up a maneuver to flatten it out, which I just kind of skipped. And now we're just going to set up a maneuver so that we can make the rendezvous as close as possible. Make that tiny little burn. And then I got to make sure the RCS thrusters were on, because I turned those off when I was docking with the big part, because they were throwing off the center of balance. And just bring her in, get set up. It's only 14 meters per second or something like that. Get it set up. Get this set up to point south, so it's easier to bring this in. And cut over there to just bring it in close and dock. I'm going to shut the engine down so I don't accidentally spaz out, pushing against each other and crush everything. And he's going to take the science from there and put it in here. Drop this away. And we're going to fly this straight into the surface, because I don't need no stinking garbage in orbit. Kessler syndrome be damned. Just burn straight in after I stop my lateral. And let's watch the mayhem. All of which is underneath the surface. We set up the burn to come back and lower this down so it comes into the atmosphere. And just attach that once I'm back closer to the planet. Time warp in. And we start getting re-entry effects. It looks great from the inside. Especially with the glass cockpit. I love that. And pop the chutes. Those are drogues from RealChute. and then pop the mains. And at this time, I realize that I need to keep SAS on while these deploy because this happens. It decides, nope, not balanced, so flippy. So I cut the drogues, and then I turn on the SAS to keep it upright, and lands fine. So yeah, I'm Mykill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.